This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. This is the Fast Break Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. Alongside me, as always, is Ricky Widmer.
What's up, guys?
And Dave Oster.
Breaking out the finger guns for the video podcast. I like it.
Gotta do it sometimes.
No, you do it all the time.
Not all the time.
This
I haven't done it in a while. Check the last video podcast. I don't think I did it.
We do have a clip? Nope. All right. Anyways, welcome to the Fast Break Podcast.
Show me potato salad.
Welcome to the Fast Break Podcast. We are going to be talking about Paul George. There's rumors swirling around that apparently he might be going to the Pistons. We're going to be talking, should the Pacers be even considering trading Paul George? Then we're going to go talk about Carmelo Anthony, Phil Jackson. They are battling, having words in New York, even though New York has been winning lately. I believe 7 of the past 10 they have won. And then also to wrap it up, we're going to be talking about coaches that could be on the hot seat, guys that haven't panned out in their first year, guys who haven't been panning out their whole career, aka Alvin Gentry. We'll be diving into that and jumping into that, but first let's talk about the big news. PG-13, we got Paul George in Indiana, one of the young stars in the NBA. Anthony, who helps out with the Pistons stuff, I believe he runs a Pistons site, sent us a link on Twitter, talking about a possible trade of PG-13 to Detroit. Now there's more rumors. I think even Stan Van
he's come out and squashed it.
Yeah, squashed them. But the question we're posing isn't really should Detroit pursue him. It's more should the Pacers look into trading Paul George, because he's got 2 years on his contract still after this season, and he's 26 years old, still young, but he is coming off that nasty leg break. So let's throw it out there. Should the Pacers consider trading Paul George?
No, they shouldn't. And the reason being is exactly what you said, Sean. He's controlled for this year and then 2 more years after. Mm-hmm. I mean, the only thing that I can think of is unless you're going to get a king's ransom, or in this case, I should say a Brooklyn Nets type of ransom for Paul George, why trade him? You have him under control, and then if it doesn't work out by the 18-19 season, then you can start thinking about trading him in that contract year. I just think that right now his value, it's a weird thing with his value. Would more teams value him more because he's got contract control?
Yeah,
they might give up more, or is it like hey, you know what? We don't really need to get him right now. Let's wait. And then we'll see if a deal comes up in 2 years.
I think especially with the control and how much he's actually costing you, I think without a doubt, that's going to add to his value.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, you get him for 2 years on a cheap contract, and 19, 20 mil is cheap for a guy that will be making upwards to 26 mil in his first year of his next contract, especially depending on how the salary cap rises. Dave, what are your thoughts when you hear this? Because I know my thoughts when I'm listening and seeing, the Pacers are thinking about trading Paul George. I'm saying you're 15 games of the season. This might be a little too ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I think this is a team that is still trying to find where they fit together. They brought in a lot of veteran players. They made what we all talked about was probably one of the best off seasons by going after Thad Young, bringing in a veteran point guard, and adding a bunch of guys to that bench to try to round it out. Al Jefferson was one of the big guys they brought in. Jeff Teague hasn't panned out well, though. He looked really bad to start. He's gotten better. Honestly, though, I think this team needs more time to mesh. You have no real reason to pull the trigger at this point. Again, Paul George under contract long term. You have Miles Turner, who looks like their bright young star on this team, and you've got a bunch of veterans out there. So, look, the only thing I'm afraid of when I look at this team is I could see something similar to what the Pelicans have done, where they have a superstar in place and they want to rush to success and they want to go get their championship. And instead of building their team up through the draft, they're going and throwing away picks and trying to get established talent. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying it's the same, but I'm saying it worries me that they're off to a not-so-quick start.
And really the only team that has successfully panned that way of going out and getting pieces like that is either the Celtics of old, where you went out and got Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett, but still with that you got two legitimate superstars. Where in the Pacers you were adding to a team.
Well, you also had a young Rondo who was pretty damn good, who wasn't getting paid.
Yeah, you had Perkins too. I mean, but the team that I would compare it to, the only team that's had success this way might be the Bulls so far, because you go out and get a guy of an aging D Wade, and then obviously Rondo as well, who's older, and that's really been so far the only kind of team that philosophy and that work has gone
We're like
for.
one game above them. You guys know that, right? I mean, we're not stellar.
But still looking at the way that the teams have been playing, comparing them, the
looks
Bulls,
better because the Bulls beat better teams, but we lose to worse teams.
Yeah, and the Bulls just look better out there when they're at their best, where the Pacers are still struggling to gel.
And that's one of the reasons why I lean towards no, you don't need to trade him, because like me and Dave talked about last week when we went for our 30-minute Bull section, it felt like 30 million minutes, but
wasn't enough.
It was great. It was great. But the one thing that I think of, and we mentioned that you look at the second place team in the Raptors and then where the Pacers are, they're only 4.5 back, which isn't a lot of games. So it's one of those things where you're sitting there going, do we keep Paul George, know that the East is close, and a few games separate us to where we win 2, and let's say Boston loses 2, and boom, we could jump up to the 4 seed.
Yeah.
And then our draft pick is low to where it's like, okay, but at least we were the 4 seed and made the playoffs. Or do you sit there and go, and this is as the season goes on, it's going to answer this question of kind of like what we've had to deal with as Bulls fans, where we thought that, oh, great, this season we're going to be 9th right out of the playoffs in that kind of draft lottery purgatory.
Right.
If you're going to be there, then I could lean the needle more towards yes while still saying no, unless there's that, like I said, that Nets ransom that you're getting.
And you would get a Nets ransom if you trade him to the Pistons. You're getting Tobias Harris, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and this isn't a rumored deal. This isn't actually anything that's been actually thrown out there.
And this is the one that's been squashed already?
I believe so. This was the rumored deal, which is ridiculous because you're getting 3 guys who pretty much play the same position. Tobias Harris, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Stanley Johnson, and 3 first-round picks from the Pistons, which sounds ridiculous, but I mean, with 3 first-round picks from the Pistons, I mean, those if you get Paul George on that team, especially with Reggie Jackson, and they're mid-20s,
upper 20s in their mind.
But the thing with that is, I mean, you're giving up. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who's pretty much a shooting guard / small forward. You have Tobias Harris, who is a small forward, and then you also have Stan John, who's a small forward shooting guard. So you're pretty much getting 3 guys who play the same position. I mean, I don't understand that trade logistically.
It's all
where that
about the
rumor
picks.
came from.
Yeah,
it was just where's the most value they can give.
But those
without,
picks don't even have that much value for a guy like Paul George. 3 first-round picks to a team that's going to be just a little bit above you in the standings.
If I'm trying to trade Paul George, it's a tricky situation because
I've got one that's simple.
You want a high pick.
I got one that's real easy.
What?
Sixers. They
trust in
they
the
have
process.
the most to give away, and adding Paul George to a team like that with young potential stars, that immediately elevates them.
So
they
who's
have
the
someone.
star?
Paul George is still the star.
So you're going to have Paul George, Ben Simmons, and Joel Embiid try to play on the same team?
Yeah,
How is that going to work?
because you put Ben at the point. Done.
You put Ben at the point, but I mean, he's still going to play power forward. So you have Paul George at the small forward, who's going to want to have the ball in his hands.
He doesn't need it if you have.
He doesn't need
Ben
it, but
Simmons.
he's going to want it.
Yeah.
You're going to have Paul George, who's a good 3-point shooter, and then you're going to have Embiid, who's a better 3-point shooter than your number 1 draft pick, who doesn't have that good of a jumper.
Yeah, that's fair.
See, looking at the logistics of that, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, I mean, I understand that they have the most to offer, but
they have the most. They have the most. Really, I feel like it just works because bringing in Paul George makes them a legitimate team. Like right now, they're hilarious to watch and they're a ton of fun. But if they want this to actually pay off, they've got all the number 1 picks. They've got all the talent. They've got a guy who wants to get out of town who is still valuable. Unfortunately, not to the Pacers. Yeah, that's the problem. Is you need a third team because the Pacers don't need another center.
Yeah.
I mean, he can play power forward, fair, but it's still one of those spots where it's like, okay, if the Pacers are looking purely for value, that's tough to say.
Try saying it 3 times fast.
The 76ers have the most value to offer.
I think the team that makes the most sense out of all of this is the Celtics. We brought them up with the Nets because
if you're that though, you gotta get the Nets pick.
Yeah, you're gonna get the Nets. You're definitely gonna get the Nets pick. You're gonna get the Nets pick. I don't know if you're gonna give up Jaylen Brown, but you're gonna give up the Nets pick. You're gonna give up future picks. You're gonna give up your own pick.
Marcus Smart's expendable at this point.
That's what I'm saying.
But then you have a lineup of Isaiah Thomas, who can be a point guard, but isn't terrible off ball. You have Paul George, Al Horford. And I look at that team and I think, that team's you improve the Boston Celtics. But again, I want to come back to the Pacers should not trade Paul George. I don't. I agree.
I think that
with what Stan Van Gundy said, it's just someone trying to get clicks on the internet. I think.
Yeah, my assumption is that they let this play out. They're gonna finish at bottom of the playoffs, assuming they stay where they're at. I mean, they're a 500 team right now. I think there's room for them to improve. I think they can definitely gel. So they'll be 5 through 8 slot, and you know what, they'll call this year an experiment, and they'll see where it goes. And if they need to next year, they can pull a trigger and move some guys.
And plus, the East is weird just
not
in
Paul
general,
George.
too.
Move guys, not Paul George.
Exactly. I mean, that's the thing is you can keep Paul George for forever. I mean, he could be your next Reggie Miller. Yeah. And I mean, just with the way things are framed, I mean, I don't know if the Pacers are going to win a championship anytime soon, just because of the way the Warriors are framed, just the way the Cavs are framed. And
there's a lot of competition out there.
The Lakers are so young too, with the Timberwolves as well. I mean, there's so many teams that you can see on the rise where the Pacers, I think they can be contenders, but I don't know if they're going to be a championship team. The thing though with the Pacers that I want to mention, the East is in a weird position, like we've brought up. I mean, the Cavs haven't been fantastic, but I mean they're coasting, and when they play, they're destroying teams.
Shit term.
Well, they're coasting. I mean, do you think LeBron's playing?
Really, was he trying to get a job at ESPN?
I mean, did you not watch that Bulls game where LeBron played like 45 minutes? Kyrie played 40. Caleb played like 40.
I'm saying the other games.
Coasting.
I'm saying the games that they're playing against bad teams like the Heat,
the Knicks,
like the Heat or
like the Knicks.
The Knicks. I don't know if the Knicks are a bad team.
We're gonna flip some bottles over here. We're just coasting.
Coasting.
Well, I mean, when you go to New York, you play the Knicks. You can always coast.
Yep.
Not sorry, Knicks fans.
They're 7-3 in their past 10, so I don't know what you're talking about.
It's still a bad team.
Hey, Ricky, look at the standings. Who's above the Bulls right now?
A lot of teams are above. The Cavs are also above the Bulls, too.
The Knicks are as well.
Anyways, so the Raptors, too. I can read the standings,
Going back to my real point, the East is in a weird position where Toronto isn't coasting, and the Cavs are, so Toronto can overtake the Cavs for the number 1 seed.
Could it be just that the East is more competitive? Why does it have to be like a weird situation? That's what I'm.
But I'm saying you're not letting me finish my actual my talk.
Then
here.
Go ahead.
The Hawks have been bad and really bad and fallen out of the playoffs. The Pacers have been good of late, but they're still not going to be taking that jump. Milwaukee's surprising at 5. No one's really expecting that. The Hornets were up and down to start the season. The Celtics were up and down. Their defense has come around a little bit, but they were really bad to start the season. So looking at this, do the Pacers have a legitimate shot to make the playoffs? And would you say right now that they will make the playoffs?
I'm not going to say that they will make the playoffs.
I think the Bucks fall off the face of the earth because Giannis can't keep this up.
Well, I think the Bucks and the Knicks eventually the Knicks are going to implode with all the drama that they have.
I will deny that. I will fight you for that. I'm telling you, the Knicks are going to be in the playoffs. They have too much talent not to be.
They'll implode one of these days. I think that the Pacers and Hawks
they could hate each other to the point of Michael
Knicks.
Jordan punching out teammates, on the way to the court, and they'll still make the playoffs.
See, I don't think so. I think that the Hawks and the Pacers in the end get in over the Bucks and the Knicks. And if one team knocks out the Pacers, because I'm kind of iffy about them, it's the Bucks. They'll be the 8th seed.
Wow.
Yeah, I disagree with
He's a bold man.
See, no, he's a guy who's blind because of that red shirt he's wearing. Bulls are falling out.
No, they're not.
The reason they're going to fall out is because I wasn't here last week to talk with the Bulls.
Oh, so now we get Sean's Bulls opinions.
Yeah. Jimmy Butler is, I think,
your father.
Is a top 10 player.
Is very close to the top 10.
Is a top 10.
Is very close to the top 10.
Top 10.
Can you shut the fuck up? He's very close to the top 10, and I wouldn't argue with someone if they put them in the top 10 because he's a fantastic two-way player. Yep. But looking at this team, Rondo's showing some personality differences. He got suspended for a game.
Okay, that suspension was basically Hoiberg saying, okay, we're going to squash this right now. Rondo apologized to the team, apologized to the assistant coach. It's done. Not going to be an issue.
It's happened before. It can happen again. And it's happened in Dallas. It's happened in Chicago. It's happened in Boston.
Dallas
it can
was
happen
way
again.
worse than this. Dallas, it went on for months. Hoiberg squashed it.
I'm
It's
just
over.
saying it can come
Water
up again.
under the bridge.
Dwayne Wade is a 36-year-old man with no knees. He can go down in an instant. This bench, like you guys said, is not that spectacular. Dougie was injured, and you know, again, if Dougie goes out, then that bench gets even thinner. You look at the young guys. Bobby Portis isn't playing up. Denzel Valentine isn't even seeing the court that much. I just look at the Jerry Grant hasn't been fantastic since he came over from the Knicks.
Yeah.
I look at this team and I just say that injuries will bite them, and they're going to fall out of the playoffs. With the Pacers, I look at this. You have an injury to Jeff Teague, Paul George just steps up more. You have an injury to Miles Turner, then Jefferson just plays more. I see more of a line of players that can step up for the Pacers that will put them in. I think
You
the
would
Bucks
say
can
they would
definitely fall out.
have 10 starters?
No, the Magic. No, God, no. Let's not talk about the Magic. Don't ruin my day. But yeah, I mean, I think the Bucks can definitely fall out, but I think the Pacers are definitely going to be in. I think the Pistons are going to be in, and I agree with Dave. I think the Knicks are going to be in as well. But I think the teams that are iffy are the Bucks and Bulls that might fall out.
See, but the thing that I will
and the
say,
Hawks can always turn it around too.
the thing that I will say about the Bulls that is different than the Pacers is.
Let me say this: I was wrong early season or before the season about the Bulls. I'll say that.
The Bulls
And the Pacers,
the
same
Bulls
here.
and
I thought the
Pacers
Pacers should be up at the top of this, and they're not.
The Bulls and
Takes too long to
Pacers
gel.
both have veterans on the team that they can look to. But the thing that I like, if you're telling me which group of veterans am I going with, and it's not just because of this red shirt, I'm going with the Bulls vets because I look at them, they got more of a killer instinct than the Pacers veterans do. You look at Jimmy, look at Wade, look at Taj, look at Rondo. Killer instinct. I can see it in every single one of those four players.
Yeah, Rondo might kill his own teammates, and Wade might kill himself. Just driving to the basket and pulls an ACL or something.
Anybody can.
Anyone can, but it's more likely that Dwayne Wade will over anyone.
But Coach
hasn't
Dwayne Wade
happened
is
so far.
still more valuable
Anyways.
than anybody heard on the other teams.
Final thoughts. Paul George, will he be traded?
No,
Please,
throughout his
No.
career in the Pacers. Let's go
maybe
bold.
let's talk.
I think
talk
free
in
agency
the
is a question mark.
18-19
I don't think
season.
trade. I think it's free agency. If he
Well-
wants to leave, that's his chance.
Let's talk in the 18-19 season.
No, look in the glass globe here.
Yep.
At any chance he is traded by the Pacers.
If it happens, it's in that 18-19 season because they're afraid he's going to walk.
Zero chance.
Zero chance he's traded.
Zero.
Right now, I am agreeant with him, but
shocker.
agreeant.
We agree podcast.
I agree with him.
Yeah, agreeant.
Damn it, you're making me say words. I agree with
Upcline,
Dave.
downcline.
I say the Pacers could be on the upcline soon.
I agree with Dave. I don't think he's going to be traded. I think it might be a Kevin Durant situation. Anyways,